What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is the weekly one-shot where I go over a specific comic book topic in detail, so make sure you subscribe to get one of these every week. This week we're going to be talking about New York Comic Con. It just ended this past weekend, so New York Comic Con 2017 had tons of announcements about the future of comics for all major publishers, but we're going to focus primarily on the big two. However, there was an announcement from Dark Horse that we have the introduction of Berger Books, but that came at San Diego Comic Con, so that's just really another re-announcement letting you know that they have a brand new creator-owned property that's going to be coming out, that's going to be rolling out different high-profile books from other creators. When it comes to Marvel, they announced a few new storylines. So in Guardians of the Galaxy 147, we see the Infinity Quest, which is going to reunite Richard Rider and Star-Lord. And then in 150, we see the return of Adam Warlock to the Marvel Universe after he's been gone for so long. But what it comes down to is the new announcements for comic books. So what we actually see is we see a brand new Legion miniseries, which is going to be launching. This is probably because of the success that the actual Legion television show has had on Fox. So they're introducing X-Static X-Rider to come back into that fray to kind of make this Legion miniseries a reality. We also had the announcement of a Gambit and Rogue miniseries, which is going to be coming along too. I believe that one's going to be about 4 issues that goes along with that. Then folding out of the Venomverse storyline, we actually have a Poison X one-shot or miniseries that's going to be taking off, that's going to carry on the legacy of the Poisons. And the introduction of these particular characters is going to happen in X-Men Blue Annual #1, I believe. So that's where we're going to get the start of this Poison X storyline that's going to be kind of unfolding. Then the big thing that's going to be folding out of the current Marvel run is a character that appeared in Totally Awesome Hulk and crossed over into Weapon X, and that is Weapon H. So in what one of the Marvel editors called one of the most 8-year-old ideas he's ever had, we have the combination of Hulk DNA, Wolverine DNA, as well as the adamantium in the claws to create a Hulk with claws. So this is a nigh indestructible individual that's coming out, and I'm not sure what direction this kind of book is going to be taking, but I really have a lot of trouble being excited for Weapon H. You know, it's like the 8-year-old in me is just like, oh my god, this is what I drew in all of my drawings when I was a child. But, you know, me now is just like, okay, so what is the storyline? Where's the compelling pieces that are moving forward? Is this just spectacle, or is there going to be substance inside this series? So that's something that we're going to have to definitely check out. Also, we actually have Inhumans Judgment Day, which is coming for a small series, which is going to join Medusa and Black Bolt again, you know, reunite the kind of king and queen of the Inhumans to fight the progenitors. So this is a series that Al Ewing is going to be writing that kind of takes off of the Royals storyline, as well as a few of the other books that are kind of focused on the Inhumans. I really want them to create their own unique vision for the Inhumans, not necessarily try to use them as a replacement for the X-Men. And with the the recent resurgence of X-Men books and the way that the Inhumans titles are going, I feel like that's kind of going to be the case. I've really been enjoying Black Bolt, and so I can only really hope that there's going to be some sort of compelling storyline that's really going to happen for the Inhumans moving forward in order for them to create their own unique identity inside the Marvel Universe. Everybody's tired of them trying to be the replacements for the X-Men, so I'm really happy if they're going to go in that new direction. Once we move past Marvel, we're going to end up at DC, where we see the introduction or the reintroduction of the Milestone characters that are going to be categorized on an Earth that they call Earth M. So Static Shock and the other characters from that particular universe are going to make a return. There's, I believe, 4 books that are going to be coming out from that new lineup, so that's a pretty interesting characterization. However, that's not necessarily as important as the reintroduction of the Vertigo title line. So Vertigo kind of went on hiatus a little while ago, but Vertigo's always been the vehicle for a little bit more mature, Elseworldian kind of stories that really tell things that you wouldn't feel comfortable putting in the DC main continuity. All these great titles originated from the Vertigo lineup, where they allowed artists and writers to kind of take more risks with characters inside and outside the DC universe. So it's definitely something that I really appreciate, just because it broadens the scope of what DC can tell for stories. While we're talking about broadening the scope, of course, we do have a really cool announcement of a JLA Doom Patrol crossover, which is going to be titled The Milk Wars, and it created this image of Milkman Man, which is just the most wholesome and American thing that I can think of. Very Superman-esque, but in this very white, stark kind of outfit. It's really kind of a cool image. It just makes me excited because I love Gerard Way and what he's doing with Doom Patrol. I think that it's a great capture of the actual characters, and crossing it over with the main DC universe with the JLA, even though it's going to be kind of co-written by Steve Orlando. I've got really high hopes for this event, and I'm really excited about that one coming out of DC. Another one I'm really excited about coming out of DC is Batman the Last Knight. So while it hasn't had a release date that's been scheduled, it is a reunion for Scott Snyder and Sean Gordon Murphy, who are going to be doing basically the conclusion to his run on All-Star Batman. So the art's going to be fantastic, the storyline's going to be from Snyder, so this is, I really like to see the culmination of all of Scott Snyder's efforts on All-Star Batman, simply because this is going to be the last standalone or dedicated Batman story that he's planning on telling for quite some time, because he's going to go off into new ventures, but we'll talk about those in a little bit. So then we get into the things that are spinning off of the DC Dark Knights Metal crossover big event that they're throwing right now, that's helmed by Scott Snyder with art by Greg Capullo, and one of the big things that's going to be coming out of that is Flash Wars. So Josh Williamson has always been getting these kind of questions where it's like, who is the better Flash? Which one's better? Is it Barry? Is it Wally? Is it other Wally? Is it Bart? Who is the best Flash? And we are going to finally decide that, and it's starting, I believe, in Flash number 36, and then it's eventually going to move into Flash 46, where we see, you know, this Flash Wars take place, where we're going to get a showdown and, you know, last Flash standing kind of style. So that's really exciting. The thing is that there's a lot of other major things that are spinning out of DC's Dark Knights Metal, and that is DC's New Age of Heroes. So this was originally titled the Dark Matter Universe and the Dark Matter lineup, but now it became the New Age of Heroes because they've just introduced so many new characters. There's actually at least 10 dedicated books that are going to be coming out under this banner. Immortal Men, Silencer, Damage, they're going to have the Inferior 5, they're going to have a rebirth of the Terrifics, which is going to have Mr. Terrific and Plastic Man in it. They've got the Unexpected, they've got the New Challengers, which is being written by Scott Snyder with art by Adam Kubert, I think. We have The Curse of Brimstone, which is kind of like their take on a horror book, where a kid makes a deal with a devil or a satanic kind of entity to get powers in order to, you know, he's trying to survive, you know, trying to save his like small coal town that's on the verge of dying, and every time he uses his powers, it just gets worse. So it just looks like a really cool and fantastic story. One of the ones I'm most excited for is Sideways, which has been written by Dan DiDio and then art by Kenneth Rocafort, and that's going to actually kind of be this kid that gets powers, and then he has the ability to kind of move through universes and tear the fabric of time to like displace himself inside the universe or into another universe. However, every time that he rips time and space, it causes damage, and he doesn't necessarily know about that to begin with. They're actually going to bring Grant Morrison on to consult on the structure of the Dark Universe, starting in issue 7 and then going on to issue 10. So there's a whole lot of excitement for me surrounding Sideways, just because it gets into that mythology, and I really like that kind of cosmic, multi-universal aspect of pretty much any comic book continuity. We also have the Unexpected. I believe I mentioned the Inferior 5, which is kind of a sister book to the Terrifics, and then you also have Dark Knights Rising, The Wild Hunt, which is kind of a multi-writer resurgence of these particular Batman-based villains from the Dark Universe. So I'm really excited to see where that is. You know, we're going to be getting like the Batman Who Laughs as a primary antagonist in one of these books. There's so much that's going to be coming out of this series that I can't help but be excited for it. While Scott Snyder was talking about all these DC Metal counterparts, he actually was asked a question about the Three Jokers, and he decided to say that that was a story that Geoff Johns has to tell. So that means that we're not going to be getting any answers anytime soon until Geoff Johns runs through Doomsday Clock, or possibly inside Doomsday Clock. And that's where we get to the big final announcement that really came out. Geoff Johns sat down for about an hour and then went over the structure of Doomsday Clock, what it really meant to him, and we had the big release of the 6 ash can pages. So these are all black and white, but they're lettered, and they give you a very strong indication of where Doomsday Clock is going to go, and they have a giant reveal at the end, which is Rorschach is alive, or at least somebody is playing dress up as Rorschach, and he's got all the kind of prominence that you were hoping for from a Watchmen book. And the real key thing is that this is set on November 22nd, 1992. And for people that are fans of the DC Universe, they realize how important that day is. That was the day Superman died in the comics. That was the death of Superman. Death of Superman was all over the place when it came to that particular time frame. So it's definitely a very interesting topic. You know, when Doomsday Clock starts is the day that Superman died. There can't be any coincidences, and Geoff Johns really implied that as much. But that's really all the most important things that happened at New York Comic Con. I want to know if you guys saw anything else that you found super important that you really were excited about. So hit me up in the comments down below and we can start a conversation about those things. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.